Ladies and gentlemen, it's the Travel Don Juan back here again for another travel vlog. I know lately you've been used to my Caribbean overseas travel vlogs. This one's gonna be a little bit different this week. This week is gonna be me and my family as we go head down to Orlando, Florida, and actually, go to Disney World. Yeah, so this is gonna be more family oriented. It's gonna be fun. A lot of things to do, a lot of things to see, and I hope you enjoy it. Thank you very much. I'm out. Travel Don Juan with fam. We're off, guys. Travel Don Juan, Florida. Here he is. The man, the myth, the legend, the senior, the Aries, Digo D, DeAndre. All right. Here's the other character right there, Janasia Fordham. She's gonna take Disney by the world. The world. All right, guys, here we are. Road tripping it. Usually you see Travel Don Juan in the skies, the friendly skies. Now we're in the ground with the old folks.
Wait a minute, you got everything, right?
Yeah.
That's the old woman asking her grandson if he has everything.
Yeah, did you want to double check or what? No.
Yes. I did. I already checked.
Yeah, I saw it in his suitcase.
All right, guys, I will keep back in touch with you time for time as we make this road trip to Florida, Orlando. So Grandpa can finally see Mickey Mouse.
So we're saying is it a suite?
Hello, everybody. Today's day one of my vlog. Didn't want to do much of the vlogging because it was just traveling. But today we're gonna leave it out of the resort, headed to Disney, and I wanted this vlog to be about Disney. All right, so here's a little bit of place we're staying at. Park condition Orlando. This is Denise, teenager, superstar, Florida. There's the living room. So how you like the trip so far today?
It was very fun.
Are you looking forward to Disney today?
I'm very excited.
Because that's what this trip is all about.
Yeah.
Here's the kitchen. That used to be a mess. Welcome time to take care of it. Yeah. There's the room. That's their stuff that they travel with. Alright, guys. Gotta go to the place. Well, we'll be live from Disney. See you. There she is, guys. Minnie, she's all set already. She's like a big old Minnie Mouse. This day started, guys. Disney World. Started the 25th, April. See you guys in the park. There's Janasia and her grandfather walking to Disney. Here we go.
Left at the rim post and headed to security.
Yes, sir. All right. So
Janasia, you already have the rides picked out you want to go on, right?
you ain't going to any?
No, I'm going so. But not no crazy.
She don't like crazy ones any though.
That's more up to me and Trey.
I don't like crazy rides.
Oh, come on.
You're funny.
There's T and D right there.
Thank you.
Trey and D,
Oh,
the Bopsy twins. Here's the entrance, guys, to the train. It's been a long time since I've been here, guys. Long time. I guess. We'll see. All right, here we go. Yeah, we gotta go back. All right. Alright guys, here's the window. Come up if you want to purchase a ticket or if you have a ticket. Come to Will Call if you did it online. You got park hoppers, all different types of tickets here. They even started the annual pass back again because they had stopped that shortly after COVID. So that's in play again. Alright.
So you can't buy the land. You buy the house. And then you guys sell it to them.
Alright guys, I'm gonna attempt the videotape any president so until they tell me not to. We shall see. Here's the entrance. Here's the entrance. See what's happening in here. It's been a while since I've been here. Last time I was here, the president. Last president stand was I think it was Bill Clinton. See you guys in there if I can. Nah. I'll tell you about it when I get out. Alright. Travel down one. Alright guys, we're inside the President's Hall, the beginning of the President's Hall, which is going to be the first thing we do here. There's Mr. Anti-social Trey over there. Right? There's Janasia, she's very social. Alright.
Okay, I don't know all of them, but I know some of them. George Washington.
Oh yeah, let's take a look. Here's some of the presidents. Got the obvious ones. There we go.
Ronald Reagan.
Ronald Reagan?
Ronald Reagan? No, that's not.
No, he isn't in here.
He's right there. He's here. He's right there.
That's Ronald Reagan. I thought he was
No. You should know Ronald Reagan. That's Jimmy Carter right
I
there.
do know who Ronald
That's Jimmy
Reagan
Carter. Yeah, that's it.
I think he looked different.
Oh, well. At one
Woodrow
point-
Wilson
Yeah.
and Thomas Jefferson.
Yeah.
Thomas Jefferson?
Huh?
Well,
Jimmy Carter went to the hospital. Everybody, oh, he's dying. I said, that man ain't gonna die no time soon. He's still living.
He's still living, I
You
know.
could live in hospice for years.
People don't realize that. They think hospital, they think
People die right
dead.
away.
They think dead.
But the only thing is, they take you up every day. So apparently, he's still pretty healthy to live.
Oh yeah, clearly. Shoot, even though it's 18 minutes, it's still better waiting here because it's cool in here.
Oh, yeah. This is fun.
It is.
Yeah, you know, I said, sorry, Tracy's eating the chicken inside. So I said,
I know. That's why I brought this up.
Where was it?
Huh? Oh, you know that. That's why I brought this up, man. Well, that's why I brought this up as a trip when she said she never remember doing this.
I know. I'm glad you did.
Yeah. There's the entrance, guys. Alright, let's see if they can let us in when I'm in there. Let's see if they let me video. Alright, go up inside. That's my light on. The president's home. come back to once the feathers come off, see if I can videotape them. Travel down, trying to take you everywhere I am.
Walt Disney. In 1971, his love for America inspired the creation of the Hall of Presidents, a place to celebrate the optimism and goodwill he saw at the heart of the American story. Walt's vision was to honor the nation by honoring the American presidency.
It is 1783, and the smoke is clearing in the wake of the Revolutionary War. Over the course of 8 grinding years, General George Washington has led a force of shopkeepers, farmers, and Native American allies to victory over the greatest military power in the world. A new nation has been born, independent and free. The founders must form a national government. In 1787, through months of passionate debate, they create a written constitution. For the country's highest office, they imagine something new in the history of the world. A leader not born to power like a king or queen. A leader who has not seized power through conquest. A leader not separate from the people, but elected by the people. From among the people. We, the people. This is a new idea, an American idea. The idea of a president. The people don't know exactly what a president will be, but there is little doubt who it will be. George Washington's stature and bearing have marked him as a leader. His integrity has made him a great one. Washington knows that many generals who have led successful revolutions make themselves dictators or kings. Instead, he steps down from power and retires to his home, Mount Vernon. The world takes note, and George Washington becomes the symbol of American ideals. In the first presidential election, it's Washington by a landslide. The only doubt seems to be his own. He writes, "Integrity and firmness is all I can promise. Integrity and firmness is exactly what we need." Everything he does as president will set a model for his successors. His final act may be the most important of all. After 2 terms, with no term limit in the Constitution and amid overwhelming support to stay in office, he steps down once again and hands power back to the people. He wants us to speak, to elect a new president. During the early years of the Republic, we choose leaders as different as Thomas Jefferson, John Adams, and Andrew Jackson. Elections are often bitter. Each president stands at that fiery intersection where personal character meets the challenges of the times. Some call the presidency a glorious burden. Jefferson calls it a splendid misery. We, the people, must choose well. We elect 15 presidents before the course of history brings us to the edge of a crisis like no other. A nation born of freedom still permits slavery. As the country pushes west, will new states be slave or free? The question produces bitter conflict. The issue rocks the election of 1860 and brings Abraham Lincoln onto the national stage. The tall, lanky, some say uncouth candidate from Illinois is a master of words at a time when speeches are printed in full for people to read. A house divided against itself cannot stand, he has said. With Lincoln's election, the House does indeed divide. Civil War. 11 states secede from the Union. The war becomes a defining passage in the American story. The president's own inner strength and depth of character changed the course of history. Lincoln had come up the hard way on the American frontier, desperately poor, with less than a year of formal schooling. His early years were scarred by tragedy, the death of his mother, his sister, his first love. He struggles with depression, but never loses his determination to rise above it. He once said he's driven by a desire to leave the world a little better place for having lived in it. The war rages. Lincoln fights to preserve the Union and end slavery. Neither is a sure thing. At Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, 6 months after one of the bloodiest battles of the war, the president dedicates a cemetery to the thousands of soldiers who died there, in words we can never forget.
"47 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Now we are engaged in a great civil war, testing whether that nation or any nation, so conceived and so dedicated, can long endure. We are met on a great battlefield of that war. We have come to dedicate a portion of that field as a final resting place for those who here gave their lives, that that nation might live. It is altogether fitting and proper that we should do this. But in a larger sense, we cannot dedicate, we cannot consecrate, we cannot hallow this ground. The brave men, living and dead, who struggled here, have consecrated it far above our poor power to add or detract. The world will little note, nor long remember what we say here, but it can never forget what they did here. It is for us, the living, rather, to be dedicated here to the unfinished work which they who fought here have thus far so nobly advanced. It is rather for us to be here dedicated to the great task remaining before us, that from these honored dead we take increased devotion to that cause for which they gave the last full measure of devotion. That we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom, and the government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth.
The blood of over 500,000 Americans is spilled in this Civil War. President Lincoln's enduring hope is to give true meaning to the sacrifices of so many, to lead us to that new birth of freedom. With the end of the war and the end of slavery, a new birth truly begins. As we roll toward the 20th century, settlers roll west on wagon wheels and railroads connect the nation coast to coast. Millions of immigrants pour in from Europe and Asia. Population doubles. Our economy triples. Our standing among nations rises. We need presidents who can lead both at home and abroad. At the same time, a young Theodore Roosevelt is retreating from New York politics and personal tragedy. The death of his wife and his mother on the same day in the same house. In the Badlands of North Dakota, he rethinks his life and the life of his country. He returns stronger in body and spirit. His renewed energy is just what his country needs. American industry is booming, but social tensions are rising. A progressive movement is bubbling up, pushing for change, and change is needed in the working and living conditions in cities. The gap widens between rich and poor. The demand for change grows stronger. Teddy Roosevelt is a knight on a crusade. He speaks with force and vitality in clear terms that make colorful headlines at a time when mass market newspapers have become the new media. To define his foreign policy, he borrows a phrase from an African proverb: speak softly and carry a big stick. But his greatest accomplishments are made at home. He breaks up giant monopolies, protects workers' rights, and calls for a square deal for all Americans, rich and poor, capitalist and wage earner.
And a square deal for every man and every woman in the United States.
He calls on America to be as great as the natural grandeur of its lands. Keep your eyes on the stars and your feet on the ground, he tells us. And we do.
The bottom fell out of the market. 12 million unemployed. The bread lines and the souvenir. The results of the 1932 election now appear.
When we elect our 32nd president, it is the worst of times. The course of history and the course of one president's life again shape a turning point in our national destiny. Franklin D. Roosevelt, paralyzed by polio, knows how to restore the faith of a people paralyzed by the Great Depression.
I believe in practical explanation and in practical policy.
He has found the inner strength his countrymen now need. He speaks to us like a friend, a neighbor. His optimism is contagious, his voice perfect for the latest breakthrough medium, radio. He calls us to believe we have nothing to fear but fear itself. And we do believe.
Tonight's attacks on England are perhaps the most widespread of the war in the course of the day.
But an even greater challenge dominates his final years in office: the Second World War.
We must be the great arsenal of democracy. This is an emergency as serious as war itself.
We stun the world with our production. When bombs fall on U.S. troops in Pearl Harbor, he calls us to fight on the war front and sacrifice on the home front. Ladies and gentlemen, the presidents of the United States of America. George Washington, John Adams, Thomas Jefferson, James Madison, James Monroe, John Quincy Adams, Andrew Jackson, Martin Van Buren, William Henry Harrison, John Tyler, James K. Polk, Zachary Taylor, Millard Fillmore, Franklin Pierce, James Buchanan, Abraham Lincoln, Andrew Johnson, Ulysses S. Grant, Rutherford B. Hayes, James A. Garfield, Chester A. Arthur, Grover Cleveland, Benjamin Harrison, William McKinley, Theodore Roosevelt, William Howard Taft, Woodrow Wilson, Warren G. Harding, Calvin Coolidge, Herbert Hoover, Franklin D. Roosevelt, Harry S. Truman, Dwight D. Eisenhower, John F. Kennedy, Lyndon B. Johnson, Richard M. Nixon, Gerald R. Ford, Jimmy Carter, Ronald Reagan, George Bush, Bill Clinton, George W. Bush, Barack Obama, Donald Trump. And now we come to the present. Once again, we place our trust in the idea of a president, as we have from the beginning.
My fellow citizens, no event could have filled me with greater anxieties than that notification on the 14th day of April, 1789, that you had selected me to lead our nation. But it was with the confidence of my fellow citizens that I took an oath. 35 simple words that have been repeated by every American president throughout history.
I, Joseph Robinette Biden Jr., do solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States, and I will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States. So help me God.
The presidency of the United States is a role unique in the world, an office entrusted to each president by us, we the people. Therein lies the genius of that new idea, now over 200 years old. A new idea our presidents have turned into a great American idea again and again.
All right, so we survived it. Janasia, let me know how you feel about that.
That was fun.
Haunted Mansion. You happy? You survived it.
It wasn't scary.
It wasn't scary. It was an experience, right?
All right, guys, so we just survived the Haunted Mansion, so we're on to the next.
Janasia wetting her pants. Did you put that in the blog?
I didn't wet my pants. He did. He wet his diaper.
Oh! Excellent. There it is, guys. We're Epcot. Here we are. Park number 2. Right, Janasia, we're getting it in. Woo! All right, everyone. What's the next ride? Ride to decide. This park's shaped obviously a little bit different than the Magic Kingdom. Less things to see around, but very adulthood. See why a lot of adults like coming here. You got where all the touring around the world goes. Different drinks and stuff like that. So we're gonna be about it. here, Epcot. There we go. And so this concept is cool. The actual area where they got different rides surrounded within a food court. Inside. This is amazing. So nice. Living with the land. Soaring on the road, which we just did, was amazing. Incredible. I like this concept. So while people can wait for their families, at the food court, you can eat everything. How was that soaring around the world, Janae? How'd you like it?
So much fun.
Yeah? You probably got to go around. You probably got to go around the world with your uncle.
But now I want to go actually.
All right, guys. On to the next. Wind it down, guys. Disney 2023. It's been a great trip. All right, people. We just walked into what used to be MGM. Now it's Hollywood Studios for the last park of today. Couldn't make it to Animal Kingdom because it closes too late. Why would you try to do all 4 parks in one day? But this is beautiful here. So we're gonna close out here. Maybe do a couple of rides here, close out. And this is the Disney experience. Hope you enjoyed it. I hope you come visit. Have fun like I did. It's a great place. It's amazing. All the great people around having fun, having a great time. Vacations like this, I love. All right, guys. We out.